My name is Eileen Werrell. I'm a 77-year-old great-grandmother, grandmother and mother, and I'm also a retired social worker. My experience of cancer has been since my mother was very ill with throat cancer. I'm here really to tell you about how cancer has affected me personally, my family, and those other people I've been involved with over the years. Well, cancer has affected my family in various ways, really. As everybody knows, it's a very insidious condition. Quite often people aren't aware that they've got it. And in my mother's case, she had a very bad cough for a while, went to her doctor, her GP, who didn't seem to think it was serious. And about a year after the cough was getting worse, I visited her and said to her, "Mum, really, don't you think you should have a second opinion?" And she said, "Oh, maybe, yes." So I took her again to her doctor and asked if we could see a specialist. And in fact, when we went to see a specialist, he diagnosed that she had throat cancer quite seriously, and that she would need the removal of her voice box, which was a great thing for my mother, who was in just about 70 then. She had a beautiful voice and singing was her pleasure, and it was really quite a hard thing for her and for all of us. But my mother, in fact, was an incredibly stoic person, and she was true to type. She just coped with it in quite an amazing way. She was in hospital for a while, quite soon after it was diagnosed, and I can remember going in with my brother and sisters, and we were always joking. For some reason, her sense of humour didn't go away, but I suppose possibly she must have had some fears as to what might happen to her eventually. She was very fortunate because her surgeon sort of treated her as a special case and used to ask her to come in and meet students. I think it was mainly because of her positive attitude, and she did that, and she lived for 13 years with the cancer. And of course she had a voice box, which she had to put a speaker under her chin, and it was quite amusing that the younger members of the family, we called her the bionic woman, and she loved this, and we always managed to turn everything into a sort of a joke, and she had a really good sense of humour, and she continued looking after my father, who had a stroke, until he was too ill for her, and he had to go into a nursing home the last 6 months of his life. But what I remember mostly was how much we learnt from the experience. Then, of course, later, my second husband developed cancer of the prostate. He had already it was in fact bone cancer by the time it was diagnosed. He was already very, very seriously ill. His PSA level was totally off the board. They couldn't really give it to him, and the cancer had affected his bones when we saw the X-ray. It was an incredible shock to both of us and to all the family. But again, we did cope. We were very fortunate in the specialist we had at Poole. We lived in Poole in Dorset then, and the specialist we had asked us very carefully what plans we wanted to make. He told my husband he might have 6 months to live, but in fact he lived for 2 years longer, and we did a great deal of things. We visited his family in the north a lot, and we got the family together, and in the September we had a big family party in a lovely country house near Poole, and it was very, very moving. It was his birthday, and then in December. He died on December the 13th, just before Christmas. He died at home, and I was very, very fortunate to have the help of some Macmillan nurses who came in to look after him at night so that I could get some rest. And the family visited all the time and kept in touch, those who were further afield. And he again, like my mother, coped incredibly well. The time of his death, I knew he must be very near the end, so I put on some of his favourite jazz records, and we held hands, and he Take Five was one of his favourites, and we listened, and he just said to me, "Eileen, I love you," and went into another world. And I was incredibly fortunate. The family came and gave me a lot of support at that time. Yes, how could it have been better? How could I have dealt with it better? When I look back, I think perhaps I didn't always put myself first, and I think that's an important thing to learn when you're facing a situation with a bereavement of cancer, which I did with my second husband. I went around trying to fill the loneliness with lots of things to do, and I got involved with all sorts of things and filled my house with people, and to be honest, I overdid it, and I had a reactive depression after about 2 years, which lasted quite a long time. And then of course my family were very concerned and cared, but I think I should have probably asked for help earlier. And I do believe now people can get the help they need if they refer themselves. If they talk to their families and they don't feel they're getting the support they need, they can contact maybe a medical practitioner. And there are cancer charities, very good charities, who will give you the counselling care, the opportunity to express yourself, maybe help you find the direction you're really looking for in your new life when you're on your own. So I've been on my own as a widow now for 12 years. I've made a completely new life for myself. I belong to a political party I'm very involved with. I do quite a lot of voluntary work. I belong to a choir. I just have a very full life, and I'm very fortunate with the people I meet. I'm involved with teaching refugees languages. So it's all come together. It's maybe a different life, not the life I imagined I'd be living, but a good one. And I'm very, very fortunate, and realise my experience can perhaps help other people to realise there is life after cancer. Enjoyed being here this morning, and I'm really grateful to us for this opportunity of expressing my feelings about cancer and the experiences I've had. And I do recommend that you go along and get help if you need it. And thank you so much for the opportunity.